Muse for you, awesome websites without code.
Hey, what's up Musers? John with Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And welcome to episode 3 of the GSAP and Adobe Muse series. So in today's video, we're going to create a really interesting menu with the Muse Motion widget. We're going to add some nice interaction to an Adobe Muse menu. So here I have the website. We have Rick here. To me, he looks like a ranger, so I decided to call him Rick. We have some interaction with Rick. If I hover over, he changes color, and I use the image cursor for this element here and added an image that says hi. So Rick is saying hi when you hover over him here. But the main thing we're going to work with in this tutorial is this menu right up here. So when I hover over, we have the Muse Motion widget, and we have this block reveal effect underneath the menu items. So this is an Adobe Muse menu right up here, and when you hover over it, the block reveal effect occurs. So if you didn't see yesterday's video, I showcased how to create the block reveal effect, but it is a preset, so we're not going to spend time creating the entire effect. We're just going to drag and drop a few widgets and assign graphic styles to the menu items and to these rectangles below the menu items. So it's a really nice effect. It can make for a really nice menu in Adobe Muse. And this is what we'll be building in today's video tutorial, along with these little animations here as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is what the website looks like here. So I'll go ahead and create a new site. I'll go to right up here, File, New Site, and I'll click OK. And I'll double click on the home page. So the first thing I want to do is bring in an Adobe Muse menu. So I'll go to Object, right up here. I'll click on Insert Widget, click on Menu, and I'll select Horizontal. And I'll place the menu right in there. And then for the options, I want to stay manual because I want to create a menu with my own menu items. The direction horizontal. And for now, I don't want to edit together because I'm going to assign individual graphic style names to each menu item. And then for the item size, I want it to be uniform size, so all the menu items are the same size. So here I'll click on this first menu item, and we can leave it just like this. And I'll go ahead and bring in the Muse Motion widget just to explain kind of what I'm doing with the menu items and what I'll be doing with the different rectangles. So I'll go to the library panel here to the right, and if you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window right up here and click on Library. Okay, and here I'm going to type in Muse Motion, and I'll scroll down here. So the Muse Motion can be found at museforyoushop.com. So here I'm going to bring in the Muse Motion, one motion, just to explain what I'll be doing with this effect here. So in the widget options, if you haven't seen yesterday's video, which is episode 2, I explained the new updates to the 1.3 widget. So basically we have this trigger graphic style name and we have the graphic style name. So we're going to be applying the trigger graphic style name to the menu items. We're going to say on hover and apply this graphic style name to each of the menu items. And then we're going to apply this graphic style name, which controls the motion, to individual rectangles underneath the menu. So when the user hovers over the trigger here, this trigger graphic style name, it triggers the actual motion. So that's what we'll be doing. So first I'm creating the menu, and then we're going to add the rectangles underneath the menu. So I'm just going to make this a bit smaller here. So I'll click on this menu item and click again, and I'll add another menu item, another one, and another one. I want 5 there, and then I can just drag from the right to make it a bit wider. And let's see, I want the menu items to be about 100 pixels in width. So I don't want a menu that's too large. So there's 103. Let's do something like this. And there we go. So each of the menu items are 100 pixels in width. Perfect. So now what I want to do is apply an individual graphic style name to each of these 5 menu items. So I'm going to apply motion 6, motion 7, 8, 9, and 10 to these menu items, and then the rectangles are going to be motion 1 through 5. So to assign a graphic style name to an element or to the menu item, we just click on the menu item, then we go to the graphic styles panel here to the right, and if you don't see the graphic styles panel, you can go to Window and click on Graphic Styles. And then here I'll create a new graphic style by clicking on this icon here, and we have the graphic style. I'll double click and I'll call this motion 6. Okay, then I'll click on this menu item, add a new graphic style, and I'll say motion 7. Next menu item, new graphic style, motion 8. The next element, new graphic style, and motion 9. The next one, new graphic style, and motion 10. All right, so there we have the menu with graphic styles applied, and I'm just going to kind of format this menu now. So with the menu selected, I'm going to open the widget options, and now I can say edit together because I've already applied the different graphic style names to the different menu items. So now I'm just going to double click into the menu item and just change the text. So I'm going to say home, about, services, products, and contact. All right, and I'm going to remove, or let me change the text color. So I'll select the first menu item and I'll say the text color to black here in my text panel. And let's format the text a bit. So I'll say Futura bold, change the font type, and let's make it all capital and add a bit of tracking. We'll say 1 pixel for tracking. So I'm doing that all here in the text panel. Okay, and I don't want that gray background. Actually, for now, I'm going to leave it because we're going to use it as a reference. So there we go. We have the graphic styles applied and we've formatted this menu a bit. So now let's add the rectangles underneath these menu items. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool, and let me zoom in here, right here, and I'm going to draw a rectangle underneath the menu item. You can place it at any distance below it, but I'm just kind of using this menu item as a reference, the distance here, and I'll just drag it so it's perfectly underneath the menu item. And then I have a color here in the CC library, so I'll just make it that color, and that's it. And I'll just copy and paste this and place it underneath each menu item. And perfect, and I'll place this here. Looks good. And this is a bit wider, so there we go. That was 101. Yeah, it could be just the way the menu items are divided up. Some these last two are 101 pixels in width. That's barely noticeable, so that's okay. And there we go. So we have the rectangles underneath the different menu items. So what I'll do now is remove this gray background. So I'll select the first menu item. I'll go to the fill option and say none. Then I'll go to the states panel and make sure that the different states don't have a background as well. So I'll select the states and select this trash can symbol here in the lower right hand corner. Okay, so there we have it. I do want to change the color for the text when the user hovers over it. So I'll select the first menu item and I'm going to add a color to my swatches panel. And when the user hovers over the menu item, I want it to be the same color as this bar. So in the states panel, I'll go to rollover and change the color here to that purple color that I added to the swatches panel. And then for the active state, I also want it to be a different color. So go to the states panel, select active, and I'll select this green color here. Okay, so let's go ahead and preview and see how we're doing. So if I hover over, the color changes for each of the menu items, but we see we have no animation to these bars down here. So let's go ahead and add the Muse Motion, the preset, the block reveal preset. So I'll go to the library panel and I'll type in Muse Motion. I'll scroll down right here and I'll bring in the preset. So we have the Muse Motion widget presets. It comes with the latest 1.3 update. So here I'll select Muse Motion, block reveal, and here I'll click, hold, and drag and place into Adobe Muse. So if you saw yesterday's video, you saw that we had the block reveal effect and then the text that showed after the effect or the block reveal. Motion 2 controlled the text, so we don't need Motion 2. We just need Motion 1, which is the block reveal effect. So I'm going to go ahead and delete Motion 2. And just as a quick example, I'm going to create a rectangle just to show you how quickly you can add a block reveal effect to your website. So we added the preset, I created the rectangle, I'll give it a color, I'll set the opacity here to 0, just so it's not initially visible. The Muse Motion here sets the opacity to 1, so we don't initially see the element before it loads. And I'll also give this the graphic style name Motion 1 because that's the graphic style name that is in the widget. So I'll click on the element, go to the graphic styles panel, create a new graphic style, double click, and call this Motion 1. Okay, and now I'll preview in the browser. And just like that, we have that block reveal effect. So we want to apply that effect to each of these rectangles underneath the menu items. So I'll go ahead and delete this element, and I'll go ahead and apply Motion 1 to this first rectangle. So we've already created Motion 1 in the graphic styles panel, so I'll click, and Motion 1 is applied to this element. It's not visible initially as well, because it's going to have the same effect as the first one. We don't want it to be visible, so in the opacity it's set to 0%. All right, so let me go into the widget, and all we have to do here is change the motion start to on hover, and then the trigger graphic style name is Motion 6. So we applied Motion 6 to this first menu item. So if I click, go to the graphic styles, we see it has Motion 6 applied to it. So when I hover over it, this effect will play. So if I preview, I'll preview in the browser. When I hover over home, we have that effect there. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go ahead and apply the graphic style names to each of the other rectangles. So I'll select this rectangle here, and I'll call this Motion 2. Motion 2, select this one. This one is Motion 3, and this one is Motion 4. And this one is Motion 5. Okay, so there we go. And I also want to make all of these rectangles set the opacity to 0. Okay, looks good. So now all I have to do is copy and paste the Muse Motion widget and change the graphic style names. So here I'll copy this one, open the widget options, and I'll say Motion 2 is triggered by Motion 7. Okay, paste again. And here we go, we'll say Motion 3 is triggered by Motion 8. Paste again, and Motion 4 is triggered by Motion 9. And one last time, and Motion 5 is triggered by Motion 10. Okay, so we should have that nice menu with the block reveals underneath the menu. So here I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and there we go. We have the motion applied underneath each of the menu items. So what I would want to happen is that when my mouse comes off the first menu item, that the motion stops playing, so that we don't have a continuous motion playing for all of them. So what we can do for this is go into each of the widget options and uncheck Continuous Play on Hover, so the motion stops as soon as the user goes off the menu item. So I'm just going to go through each widget and uncheck Continuous Play on Hover. So we only see one motion playing at a time. All right, looks good. And then I'll preview in the browser. Now when I hover, we just have one motion playing at a time. Perfect, so that's the menu. So that looks good. And I'll just place it here in the upper right hand corner, and I'll pin it as well, so it stays there in the upper right hand corner. I'll pin it with the pinning options, and I'll also set the resize option to none, because right now, so if I were to resize the browser, the menu kind of resizes as well. I don't really want it to do that. I want it to stay fixed in the right and not resize. So select the menu, and in the resize, set it to none. So I'll preview, and I'll resize, so we see that menu stays like that. And then for tablet and mobile, you can have a mobile menu, hide this menu and have a mobile menu there, a tablet and mobile menu. All right, looks good. So I'll go ahead and add the little extras. We have Rick. I'll go ahead and add him here. So for Rick, I just created a rectangle, and I set it to 500 by 500, and there we go. So then I'll go to the fill option, add image, and we'll set the purple image first, and then I'll say scale to fill, position it in the center. And then for the rollover state, so I'll go to rollover, I'll go to fill, change the image to the green Rick here, so this green color. Okay, and then I'll center in the center. Yep, I'll center him there. So I'll preview, and I hover, so he goes from purple to green. Looks good. Okay, so now I want to bring in the image cursor widget, so I'll go to the library panel, and I'll type in image cursor, and I'll bring in the image cursor widget right in here. So we can see the graphic style name for the image cursor is cursor1. So I want to apply this graphic style name to Rick here. So I'll go to the graphic styles panel, create a new graphic style, and call it cursor1. Okay, so then I have an image that says hi, so I'll just select it here. So now when I roll over Rick here, it's going to change to that image that I created an image in Adobe Illustrator. The image for the cursor does have to be 128 pixels by 128 pixels or less. So I created a 128 by 128 artboard, and I wrote the text hi and placed it in the upper left-hand corner of the artboard so that when the user hovers over the element, the image appears right away. So here I'll preview in the browser, and when I hover over Rick, it says hi. Looks good. All right, perfect. So I'll just add the text meet Rick here at the bottom, and that should do it for this tutorial. So meet Rick, and I'll change the font and make it a little bit bigger. I'll center it and add a little bit of tracking. Okay, and I'll center this on the website as well. Okay, perfect. So let's preview. Okay, so there we go. When you hover over, it says hi, meet Rick, and we have this nice menu right up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and assign the home page to this text here, or this menu item that says home. So I'll select it, go to the hyperlink section and say home, so that this text has the active state applied to it. So let's see how that looks. And perfect, so we see home is green and the other elements are not. So one thing you can do, and I actually created a sample site, you can create a stroke underneath the menu item and then place the menu above the rectangle so that on the active page, there can be a solid rectangle below the menu item. And then when you hover over the different menu items, they have that hover state. So I'll go ahead and open that example site. So here I have the example site, so I'll preview. So here we're on the active state, which is home, and it has a solid rectangle underneath, and the other ones have the motion applied to them. Okay, so what I did here is I added a stroke underneath this this menu item and placed the menu in the front. So the motion is still playing behind this bar, but it's just a nice way to show the user that they're on that particular page, and then the rest of the page, the rest of the menu items have that effect. And you could apply that same solid stroke underneath all of them so that on that particular page, this is what the active state looks like. I'm not going to go over that in this tutorial, but it's something you can do, just adding a stroke to the menu items in Adobe Muse. Okay, so I'm just going to recap what we did. So I'll go back to the page we were working on. So basically we assigned motion 6 through 7 to each of these menu items. So we created the menu and applied the graphic style names. And then we created the rectangles underneath the menu items, and we applied graphic style names motion 1 through 5. And then we added the Muse Motion block reveal preset, and we just changed the graphic style names here, and we changed it to on hover. So motion 1 was triggered by motion 6, which is one of the menu items, and motion 1 is one of the rectangles. So when you hover over motion 6, motion 1 is triggered, and we unchecked continuous play on hover, so we only see one motion at a time. Okay, then we added Rick here and added some rollover effects and the image cursor. All right, looks good. So the last thing I'll do is add the font smoother so we can have really smooth fonts on the website, just like this. And I'll preview in the browser one last time. And there we have Rick. I hover over it, he says hi. And then we have the menu right up here with the hover effect there and the block reveal underneath the menu items. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. You can do a lot with Muse Motion. There was the recent update that was released yesterday. I would recommend checking out episode 2 so you can see exactly how I created the block reveal effect. It is a preset, so you can just drag and drop, so you wouldn't need to go through all the steps, but just so you know how I created that effect with the Muse Motion widget. So I am having a lot of fun with the Muse Motion widget. I am getting a lot of ideas of things you can do with it. This was just one example. So that is why I created the GSAP and Adobe Muse series. So Muse Motion is powered by GSAP. So it's a really fun widget. You can do a lot of unique animations with it. So that's it for this video tutorial. To get access to the Muse Motion widget, you can go to museforyoushop.com, and here you can click on subscribe today, and here you can click subscribe now to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Here we have the Muse Motion 2 widget, which is more for sequencing animations, and this will be updated as well in the next few weeks. And then we have the Muse Motion widget, which is right down here. So Muse Motion, and here you can click add to cart to purchase individually, or again you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Here are the features included, the changelog if you wanted to see what's new in the 1.3 version. I do recommend watching episode 2, which was released yesterday, and it just goes over all the new updates in the Muse Motion 1.3 update there. A few of the widget options and the preview page as well. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.
Muse for You, awesome websites without code.